BioShock Infinite is one of my favorite speed games of all time. It shows a variety of exploitations and optimizations while remaining entertaining and challenging. For runners, their patience and mastery is tested throughout the game, and the community for the game as a speedrun is small but very alive and active. But there's something unique about BioShock Infinite from other active speed games. Not many of the active players actually speedrun the game. The game is really entertaining, and at an hour and 50 minutes being a decent time, it's long but not draining to play. The game is full of character, it's gorgeous visually, the music is beyond par, and the game doesn't have too many frustrating hard locks or crashes. So why does no one speedrun it? Hillrunner's Hat, or HRH, is an item I've gone over in another video. For those who don't know, it's an item that we pick up about 28 minutes into the run. It saves roughly 8 minutes over the course of the run. To get a decent time, it is necessary. The problem is that HRH has a roughly 2% chance of spawning, and you can either get it on your first load, or you can spend hours reloading trying to get it to spawn. That's what's being played in the background of this video. I didn't know what else to put, so I just loaded into BSI, went to Battleship Bay, and decided to see how long it would take me to grind out HRH. Put that in the background of this video to drive home the point. That's also what the weird ragtime music you're hearing is. It's Scott Joplin's Solace, which is the loading screen music in BioShock Infinite. You'll hear it a lot if you grind out HRH. The current world record was achieved by Distortion 2 after he grinded out 13 hours worth of BSI runs trying to get a decent HRH spawn, and the world record still has a mediocre spawn, his 12th box check. But had he gotten it on his first box, it would have saved him nearly a full minute. That's a full minute in-game time. RTA, it's nearly double that at 2 minutes. In a 150 speedrun, that's a lot of time. His world record ended up being 143.14, but would have been closer to 142 had it just been in the first box. Because of the randomness of HRH, many runners don't like committing to runs just to have them fail because of luck. Now, luck, or more commonly known as RNG, is pretty common in speedruns. Games that have random encounters or critical strike systems or random item drops like BioShock Infinite are all over the place, and each speedrun community has a different way of dealing with the RNG. Most of the time they will find a way to manipulate or skip it, but in BioShock Infinite we really do need this item, and there isn't really a way to manipulate it besides grabbing one gear early on in the run to decrease the gear pool size by 1. So with HRH's randomness, too many runners don't like running the game. BioShock Infinite runners have kind of become idle watchers waiting for large skips, and then will go and do a run with the new skip just to get a free PB. But even recently this isn't true. I've found 2 sizable skips combined cutting off roughly 3.5 minutes from the run, and none of the runs on the entire 49 run leaderboard, besides my own run, use either skip. It's not that the runners don't love the game, we all enjoy it. But with HRH RNG it feels pointless, so are there any solutions? About a year ago we actually got a solution, a fairly simple one, a mod, HRH mod, that allows us to force HRH to spawn. It's not super complicated, and it works. The problem is that it is cheating, literally using cheat engine to use the modification. This cuts out the only important RNG in BioShock Infinite and makes the run 100% dependent on the execution by the runners. But they'd be altering the game, forcing it to do something it could but not might normally do. So this is the dilemma in the BSI speedrun community. Do we allow runners to use a mod that makes it so HRH will spawn on the first load? Or do we force runners to grind for a legitimate HRH spawn? So this is the hard part of this video for me to make. I have to present both sides of this argument without being biased. I'm making this video to begin with because I believe it's time to change the way we run BioShock Infinite for the better. It's time to introduce this mod as a tool that is allowed for any percent. And I don't believe that it is a tool as in it should count the run as a task, even though that is what it would be. Those that oppose this make solid points, of course. Those who believe the mod would alter BSI into a completely different game and should have a different leaderboard of its own aren't completely wrong. It is a different game, but it's not different enough. I've argued before that someone could pick up and play a vanilla version of BioShock Infinite and get the same results as someone playing with the mod It isn't very likely, but it is possible. With the mod, we are cutting out the middleman that is RNG, and we are getting straight to improving the speedrun. Proto and Penta, who are against the HRH mod, argue that if we use HRH mod, why don't we also mod it so every box we check gives exactly what might be useful during that part of the run? And they aren't wrong. While we're at it, we could just make a mod that makes super jumps, elevators, and rail boosts all consistent. But we shouldn't, so we won't. If we just make HRH mod allowed and be responsible, we won't ever have to talk about modding further. There is no real reason to mod more. We've all grinded out a good HRH spawn, and we shouldn't have to. We can all agree that HRH RNG is just horrible. It keeps us from reaching the common goal of seeing how fast we can play through BioShock Infinite. The leaderboard gives us a nice incentive to run the game, but in the end I just want to see how fast we can make the game be played by anyone. Some have suggested that HRH mod be listed as a different leaderboard, or a category or a subcategory, but I believe this would detract attention from the mod and it would get buried and forgotten. Henny has agreed with me, saying, either replace any percent or leave it as is. As it stands, I think the best solution to everything would just to have it be another variable on the any percent leaderboard, like DLC items. Yes or no, did you use Sugar Rush? Yes or no, did you use the HRH mod? Now, I'm gonna go over some of the opinions or answers of some runners in the BioShock community, or just some people who I think have relevant opinions on the subject. Dovahorich, Iron Grips, and Jamaican Bacon all say that they would want to see it as a category of its own. Jesus Christ, Stoic Squirrel, Pentalex, and Prototype Alpha are against seeing HRH mod being allowed for any percent. Henny wants to see HRH mod become a thing, but he'd rather see it in the form of its own game. Smurfy is also for it, but he wants to see it separate from the main any percent. As for those who are completely for any percent allowing HRH mod, we have Dust, Hummelden, Sir Sanju, Seardeth, Canis, and KPC. And of course the two skip hunters, myself and Reelink, are both definitely for it. I'm also happy to say that the three most influential BSI runners are for the change. Distortion 2, the most popular runner and current world record holder. Blood Thunder, a very popular speedrunner and one of the original BSI runners. And the one who meant most to me personally, Fearful Ferret, a long-time BSI world record holder and the runner who inspired me to break BioShock Infinite myself. I really just hope some sort of change is made. BioShock Infinite the way it is dead. I truly believe that HRH mod could revive it, if only it were allowed. Now I want to know what you think. Do you believe in the change? Or do you believe it's too big of a change and it's not BSI anymore? Please let me know. I want to hear what people outside of BioShock Infinite's community think. Thank you. I leave you with a couple more minutes of me grinding out HRH.